Welcome back to the Vanessa G Fitcast. I'm Vanessa Pozos, and here with me is Omar Pozos, my husband and co-host, who just gave me the best compliment on
This is how we're going to start the podcast today, huh?
Well, I normally wear my hair down. You know, if you're watching like the YouTube video, you're probably used to seeing me with my hair down. Today, I decided to pull it back, and he walks in as I'm sitting here ready for us to record, and he goes, "Oh, your hair's not all over the place today."
Well, when you put it that way, I see your point. But what I was trying to say is, my lovely wife, your hair today looks different, and it looks great.
Different. That's what everybody wants to hear.
Come on. Whatever. I'm not going to win this argument. So let's just get into things today.
Yeah. So today we're talking a little bit about a topic that I'm
still thinking about the hair thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we haven't ever really talked about elimination diets before, other than, on last week's episode where I actually talked about food intolerances, food insensitivities, things like that. I did reference the LEAP protocol, which you might follow after doing an MRT food sensitivity test. However, I've never really talked about elimination diets. And, here on this episode, I actually want to talk about the elimination diet that I think everybody should follow. And I think you should follow this starting today. Because, really, this is the kind of elimination diet that's going to help you get better results, faster results. It's going to help you no matter what your goals are. So this is actually the identity elimination diet.
Ooh, punchy.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily talking about eliminating foods. We're actually talking about something that actually, funny enough, it was the actor Matthew McConaughey that really coined this term, the identity elimination diet. And so I want to share a quote from Matthew McConaughey. So this came from a speech that he did a few years ago at I believe this was at the University of Houston. I think it maybe was like
Can you do the Matthew McConaughey voice?
Oh.
All right.
It is just as important. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right, so this was a quote from Matthew McConaughey's speech. So he said, quote, "It is just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step is usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You know that group of friends that you hang out with that really might not bring out the best in you? They gossip too much or they're kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. How about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst hangover from? Or that computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. How about that food that we keep eating? The stuff that tastes so good going down, but it makes us feel like crap the next week. We feel lethargic and we keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. Put it down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, when you quit going there and you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when that were keeping you from your identity. Trust me, too many options. I promise you, the too many options will make a tyrant of us all. So get rid of the excess, the wasted time, decrease your options. If you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important to you by process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. So give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first, and you're going to find yourself where you need to be."
Damn.
Close quote. I really like
drop.
that. Yeah. Who knew? Matthew McConaughey, all right. Got some wisdom there, Mr. Matthew. But no, I really love this quote because I've been thinking about this actually a little bit recently. We had our monthly group coaching call with clients the other night, and we were talking about bedtime routines, and we were talking about some different things that we could add. And one kind of thing I was thinking about is, sometimes it's really easy to add things of okay, what I really want to be doing this, I really want to be doing that. And we start adding okay, I'm going to add this habit, I'm going to add this behavior. But it can be hard when we start adding a lot of things. That's when we start to get overwhelmed. We start to feel like, oh my gosh, there's too many things to do. I can't keep up with all of it. So a lot of times I like to actually look at how we're spending our time, who we're spending our time with, what we're doing, what habits, what behaviors we have, and actually look at maybe what do we need to eliminate first. And let's open up the space to then add the things that we want to add in.
I'll share a quick just anecdote and story from my own perspective, but this has been a little while now, but sometimes I would like complain to Vanessa and I'd be like, hey babe, like I don't have enough time in the day to, do the things that I need to do for work. I don't have enough time in my day to go to the gym because of work, or I don't have enough time in my day to do so on and so forth. And funny enough, I think at one point or another, she probably got just fed up with it, like came over to my desk and like looked at my social media time and she's like, hey, like, I guess I just found your time kind of thing, right? But to Vanessa's point is, it's not about what you're doing, it's about what you need to stop doing. And that's what we need to figure out, because everybody has the same 24 hours. So why is it that some people can do the things and other people can't? Well, I think to your point is, people are just trying to do too much shit and then they get overwhelmed, they get frustrated. They're like, I can't do this. This is way too much, right? When in reality, that's probably the overwhelm right there. It's because you're trying to do too many things that aren't getting you to where you want to go. So what we need to do is just be smarter, work smarter, not harder, so you can get to your end goals faster and more efficiently. And everybody, like I said, everybody has the time. It's just a matter of like, how are you investing that time? And is it actually doing the right things, pulling the right levers that are going to get you to where you want to go, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I also really love like the identity concept of this, because I think a lot of people will resonate with the idea of like, it's hard to kind of figure out who you want to be. It's really hard. Like I'm, about to be 29, you're 32, you're really old.
Okay, we don't have to drop that. Like you're 32. Wow, I didn't know we were just ricochet shots over here. You're old, you're 32.
But, we're both getting very old.
Listen, did you see my jump yesterday to grab the fruits? I mean, people said I had a great vertical, babe, so.
Yeah, he was getting compliments on his vertical jump as he's stealing lychees from our neighbor's lychee tree.
It's not stealing, it's part of nature. I'm just gathering.
Yeah. But anyway, we are going on a hard left turn tangent there. So what I was getting at here is, I still to this day, as much as I know what my like purpose and passion is, especially when it comes to my work, a lot of times I'm still not even totally sure of like, what is my identity? Like, who do I really want to be? That's a tough question to answer. That's really hard to figure out who you want to be. But I think a lot easier place for a lot of people to start, myself included, is figuring out who do I not want to be. And for myself, like I can answer that question pretty quickly and pretty easily. And I know for a lot of clients, it's easier to go there. Sometimes when you ask somebody, like if we initially have a consultation call and we ask them, okay, like what are your goals? Like what are you trying to achieve? What do you want to do? They tend to talk a lot about what they want to get rid of. You ask what are your goals, and somebody might say, well, I hate how I feel when I go to put my clothes on and my jeans are so tight and I have my belly hanging over it. And, my kid's getting older and he wants to just like play and run around and I feel like I can't keep up with him and that scares me.
I don't want to be the mom sitting on the sidelines watching life kind of go by me kind of thing.
I watched my mom struggle with her relationship with food her whole life and just decade after decade still doing diets, and I don't want to be like that. So it's like we almost just inadvertently are able to identify what do we not want to be doing, who do we not want to be, and really identifying that part of our identity. And so I think starting there is such a great place to start. Let's cut the things that we don't want. So if we know, okay, I don't want to be feeling that way when I go to put on my jeans and worrying whether or not I'm going to have my stomach hanging over the buttons, then okay, we know that's what we not want to. That's how we not want to be. Okay, so what do we need to not be doing anymore to start to veer in the other direction of that? That can be a really easier place for a lot of people to figure out, essentially.
Yeah, and I think too, and I think, Vanessa, you're great about like just being on your phone and answering as many questions, because I think part of the whole reality of it is people are like, okay, great, Vanessa, like I hear you. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want, the thighs chafing and rubbing together, like whatever that might be. But how do I start? Like, where do I even begin? And I think that's where, I hate to say it like this, and I'm sure you'll agree, but, it's everybody has a different starting point in their life, and that's what we need to figure out. So it's, getting the right resources, staying with the right crowd, and asking the right questions that are going to get you the answers, as opposed to you just trying to figure it out all on your own and going crazy.
Yeah. And this stuff is tough. Like, I don't want to just minimize the fact that like it's not necessarily easy to think about what we could be eliminating. Like, you had said earlier, Omar, of, we all have 24 hours in the day. It's about how we spend it. But it's funny because that actually kind of reminds me a little bit of, I was having a call with one of our coaches recently, and she actually brought that quote up in like a different light of kind of from this place of frustration of like, I really hate when people say we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
I know, I'm sure people were like, screw that guy.
Because the reality, she's a new mom. She has a 3-month-old baby, and her partner travels for work almost every single week. And so she's kind of at home working remotely as a coach and taking care of a baby on her own. And she's like, it's just the reality is like, yes, I have 24 hours in a day, but the demands on my time are a little bit different. But something that, we kind of also talked about, that she's so growth minded. And so, it's why her coaches get such great results too, because she really does lead herself first. Yeah, her clients, get such great results. But, this coach was also, we were talking a little bit about too, the reality that like you also have choices. And I was thinking about this even a little bit more yesterday when I was reflecting on a TED Talk that is one I love to share with our clients as well, around managing your schedule and managing your time. And so this was a TED Talk from a woman who works in the ER, and she talks about how she has like a very crazy busy life, but she refuses to call it crazy. It's just a busy life because she's very structured in how she organizes her time. And I think that's something that a lot of people can take a step back from and realize, like, you might be in that phase of life where you're like, my 24 hours in a day are very different from your 24 hours in a day, Vanessa. Like, you don't understand, I have this job that's incredibly demanding, or I have a baby that I have to be keeping alive, and that's very demanding. Like, you might have these constraints on your time, but the reality is, and I think this is a perspective shift we all need to take, everything is still a choice. Everything is a choice. And you can even take it to the extreme of, okay, I have a baby that I have to take care of. And someone might say, well, I don't have a lot of choices there. Like, I have to take care of this baby. I have to keep this baby alive. But we can still consider, maybe there are other potential choices in terms of, well, the reality is, you could put the baby in daycare or have a nanny, but maybe you're choosing not to do that for financial reasons, or choosing not to do that because you want to be the one, 100% of the time with your baby. Like, you might have these reasons that are ultimately putting you in the position of choosing that type of life. And it doesn't mean that it's any less hard. It doesn't mean that it's any, less just demanding on you. But when we just take ourselves out of the kind of victim hat of like, oh, this is the phase of life I'm in, and this is where I'm stuck, and more so look at it as, this is actually such a blessing, and this is something that I'm choosing to do. And our coach is so great at that kind of a mindset. It is so powerful at how much that opens up your mind to seeing other things that you also realize that, hey, that's a choice too. And I don't like that I'm currently making that choice with my nutrition or with my exercise. And now I want to change that choice.
And I think on the flip side, I love that perspective, because when you see things from like, okay, I get to make this choice, and, right now I'm in a phase of life where prioritizing spending time with my family is my choice, and I choose to do that, then it lets go of the remorse. It lets go of the guilt and be like, oh my gosh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. But it's like, hey, you can do it. You just chose not to, and that's okay, because every different phase of life is going to be great. I love that perspective. That's a great perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. So really, I want to leave this episode as more of a quick, punchy one for you to really have some things to think about. But I want you to walk away from this episode and actually think about, what are some things that you need to eliminate from your life right now? Are there habits that aren't serving you? Are there things that are taking up your time that you feel like, that's actually not how I want my time to be taken up? Are there, people in your life that you need to eliminate?
That's a hard one. Yeah. I think you and I were chatting about this earlier, and we talked about sometimes like it's your spouse that's keeping you down, or it's your spouse that's like preventing you from, then you're like, so what do we do? Eliminate the spouse? And no, that's what we're saying. We're not here to break up marriages, but it's more so maybe asking a little bit of support, right? And it's like, hey, I have these goals. I want to feel this way. And, if you're a mom, like, I've provided for the family, and I've made sacrifices in my own body to have a family. Now I need your support, right? Because think of it this way, like, if, I don't know, another year, 2 years go by, and you still you still keep feeling the same way that you're feeling, like, who are you going to blame? Like, you're not going to blame yourself. You're going to blame your significant other because they didn't support you. They didn't like help you out along the way. And that's not fair to your partner. That's not fair to your spouse, right? So it's more so just being open and being like, hey, I have this goal. I want to feel a certain way. Can you help me? Can you support me? And I'm sure the person on the other side will support you. And to be totally honest with us guys, I think we're kind of stupid when it comes to these things, or maybe just, I don't know, not as in tune with our feelings, emotions, and stuff like that. We don't realize how much this stuff is impacting women. So it's like, hey, you need to tell me what I don't know. You need to kind of give me that knowledge so that I can help and support you through the best of my ability. Because like, I love you and I would do anything and everything for you, kind of thing.
Yeah. So we could even look at this from the perspective of possibly eliminating the expectations of support from your spouse, or eliminating the need for them to even support you. Like, could it be possible that they may not agree with what you're doing because maybe they just don't understand it? They don't see your perspective. And could that be okay? Could you continue to move forward without their approval, I guess, in this instance? Like, is that something that you can do? There's no right or wrong answer, but that might be something you need to ask yourself.
It's just something to consider too.
Yeah, I think about, I think we've had multiple clients who have, maybe joined our program without telling their spouse, or, without necessarily having like their spouse on board for them to invest in themselves. And I specifically am thinking of one client. I'm not going to out her by any means, but I remember this one client who, when she was making this decision about joining our program and really investing in herself and, saying yes to this change in her life, her husband did not support her at all. And she had conversations with him about it, and she really thought on it, but she came back and she told us, she's like, he does not support me in doing this, but you know what? I am going to do this for myself. And so she did it. And then she actually went on to spend, I think, about 1.5 years with us total. And what's funny is, I think after the first 3 months, she was like, yeah, my husband's actually like really glad that I did this. And he's really thankful that I did this. And he's even saying things like, yeah, like, if you continue to feel this way and you continue to, show up this way, like, please keep doing this.
Yeah. I mean, listen, what's the saying? Like, happy wife, happy life. I mean, that's your partner that you're spending probably, I don't know, 20 hours, 24, I don't know, whatever. Like, you and I spend 24 hours together. I don't think everybody does that. But like, if there was something to where like you could be happier, you could be more comfortable, like you could be more energized, and I'm like, and we have the power to invest into that, absolutely, because I'd rather do that than, keep spending money on things that you don't necessarily need. So yeah, if you want to make your husband happy, I think that's part of it, is investing into yourself.
Yeah, but again, it's not about making your husband happy. I think this is more of like, looking at it from the expectation of let's
it's
eliminate.
Always about making your husband happy, babe.
Yeah, okay. Let's come at this from the perspective of, what do you need to eliminate to be the person that you want to be? Not for anybody else, but for yourself. Who do you need to be? And so I want you to think about this. I want you to take a moment after you stop listening to this episode, and I want you to come up with an answer. What do I need to eliminate starting today? What is your elimination diet for your identity going to look like? So I want you to answer that question. If you want to even share with me, I would love to hear what you come up with. So you can reach out to me on Instagram at Vanessa G Fitness. But thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another great episode.
Bye, you guys.